Hi people, welcome back to new video, and in this video we are going to cover DFT and its application in image processing. So let's get started. For you guys, I have a question: why do we need image transformation? You can give your answer in comment section. So let's move forward. And why we need transform is our first question. So the benefits of transformation are better image processing, fast computation, alternative representation and sensing, efficient storage and transmission. We'll slightly touch upon all these topics and we'll move forward with the DFT concept. First, better image processing. DFT help us to identify the more accurate and minute information present in an image or any signal. When we convert a time domain signal or image into frequency domain image, it is very easy for us to identify the minute details such as RGB color ratio and the peak energy of a signal. It's very easy in frequency domain. Next one is fast computation. If we take an example of convolution which we have covered in the previous video, I have given the link in description. You can go and check. Convolution is a series of steps. More accurately, convolution is nothing but integration or summation of multiplication and addition. So the entire series of three steps can be converted into single step in frequency domain, that is just by multiplication. So it's very easy and fast for computing convolution, as convolution is very important process in digital signal processing. Next is alternative representation and sensing. For medical and astrophysics, where the minute details or minute signals are very important to catch and recover information from those signals, so DFT plays a major role in sensing those signals. Next is efficient storage and transmission. When we convert into frequency domain, any time domain signal will be compressed and the important and the basic information will be stored in frequency domain, so reducing the size of the data. So these were the few benefits of using DFT in normal procedures and application. Let's move to one-dimensional continuous Fourier transform. In one-dimensional continuous Fourier transform, we are using integral. You have to remember this formula, and here you can see the real and imaginary part of the signals. In discrete Fourier transform, the continuous integral will be converted into summation of discrete frequency duration from n equals to 0 to n minus 1. So here you can see the signals at discrete point we have given the marks, and from this discrete point we'll get the discrete value, and this is the representation of real part and imaginary part. So here are the formulas. The important factor while coding in MATLAB is to remember the formula. This formula I will also tell you when we are coding in MATLAB. So next is DFT in matrix notation. For convolution, there is a easy technique using cross table that I will cover in the next video. So you can check here. Here is the formula, and AU comma N is nothing but the exponential power term that we have to multiply with the signal, incoming signal. Now let's move to the coding part. We have opened MATLAB, then we'll go to editor window. So first we'll clear and close all the programs or code which we have run before. We have seen that in DFT we need some input samples in time domain, and those input samples we have to convert into frequency domain where we will get more information about those signals. So first we are going to ask them how many input samples they are going to provide, or how many input samples they want to do the DFT, or how many points of DFT they want to find. Then we'll ask the input sequence, and remember that how much ever input you have given, if n equals to 5, then you have to give x equals to 5 values. I'm going to show you how those 5 values are entered. Then we have to find the length of xn. if you have given n equals to 7 and input sequence is just 3 numbers, then we have to pad zeros. Like the total input sequence should be equal to capital N. So we have to pad zeros. So for that we will find the length of x with inbuilt function with parameter x and we'll store that value in Lx. Then we'll take a for loop with n equals to 0 to Lx minus 1 with span of 1. Then we'll plot the original signal, that is 2, 4, 1 in the matrix of 2, 4. We'll plot discrete graph with labels. Then we'll go to computing DFT. So for DFT, we have to do multiplication from k equals to small n because k and n values are same. So we are using W here. There in the explanation we used U. So W equals e power minus j 2 pi divided by capital N into n bar. N bar is just for multiplication. If both the matrix are equal, then we cannot multiply in MATLAB. So we have to use n tick to inverse the matrix. So n tick into k is nothing but a linear multiplication of n and k. Then we'll plot DFT magnitude and its angle. For plotting DFT, we have to use stem n comma capital X, and for magnitude we have to use inbuilt function ABS for absolute value, and for angle we have to use angle of X. It will take discrete value and plot 3 different graphs for our DFT. Then we'll go for top plot DFT of a signal. We'll store the length of signal in frequency domain, length of capital X in Gx. Then we'll go with for loop and plot it once again with X and these labels. Then we have to find inverse Fourier transform. If you see here, the difference between W of computing DFT and to find IDFT is just a minus sign. And in capital X, we were just multiplying. Here we have to multiply and divide by capital N. So we are getting back the previous signal, small x equals capital W into capital X divided by N. Once again, we'll plot 3 different graphs. One is our inverse Fourier transform signal, then the absolute value of it, then the angle of our inverse DFT signal. So this is the entire code. Let's run and check the results. So they are asking for number of samples. We'll use 4. Enter the sequence. When you are entering a sequence, remember that you have to give in matrix form. So open square bracket, then 1, 2, 3, 4, then close it, then press enter. So this is our output. So first is we are giving DFT input, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. We have gotten graph. Then we have find the DFT of it. Then we have got DFT, magnitude of X, phase of X. Then we are going for IDFT. IDFT input is nothing but our DFT of X. So these two graphs are same. Then we are using IDFT. When we go for IDFT, we have got our previous input. That is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4 back. So our code is working fine. You can try with different samples. First do the manual calculation, then check with your code. Thank you. See you in the next lesson.